1987. How you doing today, bud?
Chilling.
Chilling. So you're a vet in the graph game. How long have you been writing?
I did my first graffiti piece in 1985, and we had a crew. It was a skateboard crew called Valley Skate Punks (VSP), and I tried to do what I saw in the breakdancing shit, and it was like bubble letters where the fill was like a city, like buildings, and it was like way up in the hills, which there's houses there now, but it used to be called Tampa Land. It was at where Tampa, where Rinaldi ended, where all that new shit is now, and we would skateboard in these big cement bowls. So back then, the only graffiti was like punk rock graffiti, and then I did a piece, and people thought it was cool, and it was kind of like legal, you don't have to worry. And then I was doing punk rock graffiti and shit, and then when I first learned like the real graffiti, like what we do now, and using the certain caps and shit, was in 1987. So I was like 15 years old back then, and that's why they call me 1987. And that's when the graffiti shit really broke loose in LA. That's when all the house parties started. That's, to me, the golden era.
Yeah, to me, my golden era was the RTD buses. I love riding on the buses and shit.
Yeah, we did a little of that.
Right?
Reseda and Devonshire, there was a spot where I wasn't really mobbing the buses because I didn't get it. I didn't understand that, because I lived in Northridge. But a couple homies did. Shout out to my boy Else. They would come up there to Northridge sometimes because I guess that was like a bus stop where it was like a layup kind of. So they would mob the buses. I caught tags on the bus once in a while. I didn't understand that back then. I just didn't see it as like a subway train or whatever.
Yeah. 1987, it's a unique name. On your Instagram page, I saw a story where you used to write something else, and then how you got that name, 1987, or, you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So that's a good story, dude. So I'll tell you the story. That's something I didn't want to. This is kind of juicy, dude. Some people kind of know about this, but I'll go in depth, dude. And I'm not going to really drop too many names, but I'll tell you around by the time it was like 1996, I started getting good. So I wrote Scam. When I first started writing in 1987, I wrote Scam 1 or Scammer, Skamer. Everyone wanted an ER back then. Like you had the letters would be like thin. There was certain styles they had. So I was getting a little bit of fame back then, but it wasn't really, because I was from Northridge back then, it wasn't really considered part of the real network like it is now. It was like we were kind of off. It was like if you live in like Simi Valley or something now, But so I didn't really realize, dude, that the issue that there would ever be other people that had the same name. I didn't really think of shit like that back then. But my graffiti was pretty good, dude. And then by 1996, there was this dude, Unit, and he moved into our neighborhood in Northridge. And he saw that my throw-ups were cool. And, we were hanging out, dude. But he was from, like, the Sherman Oaks area. So he knew all the real dudes. And he was from, like, CBS. And they had another crew called MYL, which is no longer around. And I was like, well, this dude kind of really knows about it for real. So he kind of was putting me on a little bit. And he started this crew called TBG. And then there was very few of us, but they were pretty good, dude. The guys that were in TBG. So I wanted to really get out there and do a lot of graffiti. So me and him were going around doing graffiti. Well, what I didn't know and I didn't understand, dude, and there were some people that were telling me, hey, dude, I think someone else has that name and you're not really part of the real world of graffiti, dog. Like, you might find out some shit that you don't want to find out. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. This is what I write, and I've been writing this since 1987, and I don't have a problem with nobody, so it's not going to be an issue. Well, dude, Unit was bringing me around, and I didn't realize that there were people that had seen me in Unit, like Scam Unit or Unit Scam, and we were starting to do some damage, dude. And so we go to the fucking train yard one night, and I'll never forget this. We were coming home from a Cypress Hill concert at House of Blues, and we were coming with the 405. He's like, hey, let's go into the yard and just see what's there. I go, no, dude, fuck that. And he was driving, and he was like, no, I'm just going to go in here. Let's just walk around and see what kind of trains are in the layup. And it was late at night. I'm all, well, you're driving, dude. So we go in there, and we're like walking into the Budweiser yard, and we're like walking across the train tracks towards the layup, and we saw two dudes like out in the distance. It was like creepy as fuck. And I'm all, let's go between these trains, dude. I'm all, let's just go in here and just hide. Like, let's just see what they're doing. He's like, no. you know, and it was kind of like an argument. So he kept walking, and then they kept getting closer, and then like one of us kicked like an empty can, dude, and I'm all, fuck, dude, you know, and he's like, no, just keep going. So the trains were kind of laid up like this to where it ended, and we kept walking. Now we're just in the middle of the tracks, and these dudes came straight towards us, and then he knew them, and these dudes were fucking like lokes, dude. They looked crazy, like gangster as fuck, which we were not. And then I'm all, who are these dudes? Well, I'm not gonna say their names, dude, but those were like two of my heroes, bro. And I was like, oh fuck, it's those dudes, you know. And remember, there's no internet back then. I didn't know what people looked like or nothing. So I'm like sitting there like listening to them talk, and these dudes were like tweaked out, drunk, like it was some real like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and you know, no one's around. And all of a sudden they're like, hey, who's your homeboy? And he goes, oh, this is my boy Scam. Oh, bro, fucking dude, it all went wrong, bro. Like everything fucking, you know what I mean, dude? It was like when the record goes, they're like, we've been looking for this motherfucker, and all of a sudden it just got super gangster, like the scary music came on and shit, and they're like, he ain't the OG Scam, and like they're all da da da, and then it became like kind of like a gangster. You know when you hear like gangsters arguing, well, you ain't so and so from this, and this ain't your hood, or it became like a conversation like that, but about graffiti. And then I told him, I'm all, well, I started writing this in 1987, and I spell my shit SKAM, and the other dude was SCAM, and I've never really seen him up, which made them even more mad. And because I kind of had heard of this dude, they're like, well, he's been putting in work in Watts, homie, and I was like, fuck, you know what I mean? I was like, oh, and then like, dude, long story, bro, but they fucking had pistols, and then it started escalating, dude. And what they told Unit, they're like, hey, homeboy, we fucking put you onto this shit. We brought you out to this train yard. You know better than this. And it was kind of like they were mad at him. They were almost like more mad at him than they were at me, because their whole thing, and I'll never forget, you know better, dude, we taught you better. And I was like, and it just kept escalating, dude. And since they had a fucking gun, they pistol whipped Unit, kind of like, they didn't hit him with the gun, but like they had the pistol and they fucking smacked him. And then I was like, it just got weird, bro. So I've never told the whole story before, which I'm going to, dude, because I'm going to give you something juicy. So what I saw was, and I remember growing up around gangs and hood shit, whenever there's a big argument, it just keeps escalating. I thought we were both going to get murdered, dude. So what I did, which had to use my wits, dude, because we didn't have guns and they did, and they were fucking way off the rails, dude. I'm pretty sure they were like tweaked out and drunk and shit. So we're right by the trains, and they were kind of arguing. It was real dark, and I did like a cartoon character. I was like, and I just like disappeared, but I was under the train, and I was like laying like this, dude. And I was hiding under the train, like laying like under the rails of the train. So it was like I was still this far away, but they didn't know where I was. So they just looked and they're like, hey, where the fuck's your homeboy? And then the conversation changed. It went from like wanting to kill us to like, where's your homeboy? So I was trying to use my wits, you know what I mean? Like I changed the whole thing, dude. And then I was like, well, maybe since they know him, they'll calm down, because now I'm not part of the equation no more. And it kind of worked, because I really was convinced they were going to kill us both, dude, which to this day, I don't know if they would have or not, because one of them wasn't only graffiti, he's also a gang member, and people told me he was banging back then. So it would have been nothing for him to take a life, dude. You know what I'm saying? And so they then I'll never forget. So, hey, you find your homeboy, and he's like, scam. Hey, stop calling him that. And I remember they told me like when they were punking me, who's the OG Scam one? I'm all, not me. Like they were really punking us, dude. You know, and I was like getting like fucking scared as fuck. And then he goes, stop calling. Okay, Gavin. And I didn't say shit, dog. I stayed quiet as fuck. And then what I realized, dude, they didn't know if I have a pistol. They didn't know if I'm on top of a train with a fucking brick gonna throw it on their head or nothing. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like a chess game at that point. Because then they were like, fuck, dude. And then also, I was like, well, they can't, if they killed us both, we'd both be dead, dude. If they then killed Unit and couldn't find me, there'd be a witness. So I was really fucking using my street smarts and shit. And I'm like, well, they can't just kill Unit because they can't find me, dude. And so finally, dude, I'm sitting under this fucking train track, and then they moved a little further away, and then I heard their conversation, and it calmed down. Because remember, they're actually friends with Unit. You know what I mean? So he started talking them down, and I saw what happened. And then finally they just walked really far away, because they were still kind of nervous about me. Like, what if I had a pistol and blasted them? You know what I'm saying? And then when I saw that they walked away and they were like fist bumping. I mean, this took a while. Like I'll never forget. I had to piss because I was drinking beer and I was like under the train tracks and I rolled over and pissed. I was like nervous, dude, and I kind of pissed on myself. It was like a movie, dog. And the rails, if you really like lay down on the train tracks, they're like this high. You know what I mean? And then they couldn't really, they were looking everywhere, dude, and they couldn't see me. And then, so anyway, the way that it worked out was once I saw them fist bumping, since he had the keys, he was driving. Finally, I fucking got out and I just ran. And I ran up Haskell and I fucking and then they heard me run away, but they were far away. And then they squashed it. And then, you know, dude, by this time it was like the sun's starting to come out. I called unit and he's like, it's cool, dude. Like, whatever, dude, they're all, but you better not fucking write Scam 1 no more. You know what I mean? And then I was like, dude, I don't even want to do graffiti no more. Like, I was fucking shook, homie. Like, I was scared as fuck because I had never been that close to someone killing me with guns and shit. And then after a while, the dudes from TBG, they're like, dude, don't stop doing graffiti, Holmes. It's cool, dude. Like, you know, it's all squashed now. They're all just come up with a different name. I'm all, dude, I just spent the last 9 years getting good at this shit. SKAM was like the dopest letters and everything. And then I'm like, and then I started brainstorming. I'm all, I used to put Scam and then I'll put like 1987 because to me that was like when I started writing. And I'm all, I'm gonna just write 1987. And everyone's like, don't do that shit. You know what I mean? They're like, why the fuck would you do that? That's like right now if I wrote fucking 2017. It'd be like, why the fuck? That wasn't even that long ago. It didn't make sense. And then I'm all, no. That's what I'm gonna fucking do. You guys will see. You know what I mean? And then that's how I got the name. And I've told pieces of that story, but I just gave the details. And I'm not gonna say who the two dudes were, but they're the type of dudes that they know nowadays. Like, hey, dude, everyone starts off toy, or everyone starts off like that's a common issue. But it was because it was back then in the 90s and these dudes were gangbanging and shit. It was much more fucking like exaggerated or whatever you want to call it, and to where if it now happened, but the other thing was through the years, dude, there was a couple dudes, because then, you know, it started getting later, 2006, 2007, or like I got in CBS 2002, and then it was like, oh, we know who he is. Like then I became DJ 1987, and I was coming out on, you know, before Instagram or even like really the World Wide Web. I was on LA TV. If you remember that, it was like cable TV. People were starting to know me like as a DJ and just hip hop. I was rapping and putting out records and shit. And so I kind of got known for multiple things because being in the hip hop scene, getting on stage DJing, and I was doing all that. And so people started respecting me more. And then, you know, it just kind of changed up. People were starting to write 1984. Some dude wrote 1985, and I would start slashing those fools. There was some rap group, they called themselves 87 Stick Up Kids, and they knew who I was. They had my mixtapes, and I fucking got crazy on those fools because that was the way I was put into the game. I'm like, you have the same name as me, homeboy, what's up? You know what I mean, dude? Because that was, to me, what I learned, but I'm like, no one will ever fucking have the same name as me now. I'm 1987, and I recently even had an issue with one of my very close friends, shout out Sick Jack, where he put something on his Instagram. He was in Spain, and there was some hip hop group he was working with called 1987. I don't have any idea. This is a year ago or less than a year ago. And he's a close friend of mine, dude. And I would really never want to disrespect him, but I came onto his page and I felt disrespected by him. I'm all, fuck this, you're the fake 1987. Then he wound up calling me. He was pissed. And I had to tell him like kind of what I just told you. And I'm all, hey, dude, I'm sorry, dude. He's like, well, we're still friends, homie. Don't ever fucking be disrespectful to me like that. I mean, he's Sick Jack, dude. Like I don't want to fuck up our friendship, but dude, I felt disrespected too. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I take that name shit more seriously than maybe if you saw another dude that wrote, you know, Poise or whatever. You might not trip as hard as me, dude, because of the way I was put into the game. And even if someone writes a year, some other dude was writing 1979 at one point, and I just talked to him, I'm like, dude, don't do that shit, homie. So that's me.
You've been 30 years later, you're still rocking that name.
Yeah, man. Dude, it's 30 years,
30
dude.
years. That's crazy, huh? How fast that shit goes by.
Yeah, dude. It's the same time. It was also a long journey, but yeah, I put out Wax. I fucking, you know, dude. And then people would just call me 87, and then I was kicking with a lot of Southsiders that were doing hip hop, and I just became 87. And really like in the hip hop scene where people didn't even know my real name. Everyone just knew I was 87. Some people didn't even know it was 1987. They just thought, I don't know, why did they call you 87? And everyone, oh, there's 87, you know, like, so, I mean, and then now, like, I even sell some of these shirts. I mean, 1987, it's just something cool because now it's a long time ago. And then when people ask, is that when you were born? I'm like, fuck no, dude. You know, I was born in 1972, you know? So it's worked for me though, dude. It's a long thing, and that's the story, and it worked for me though.
That's right. Where can people pick up that sweater?
I mean, you could just DM me on IG. To be honest, people were asking me to buy these, and
what's your IG?
It's Mr.1987.og, or just put Mr. 1987, it'll pop up. Okay. But thank you, man. But and then people were hitting me up. I just didn't have time to make them because I do other shit for money. But I made these for myself. I don't screen print. I do like the heat press shit. Yeah. And then it got to the point where I wasn't really I sell vinyl and shit, and so. But yeah, that's the story. I'm glad to be able to tell it now.
In that story you mentioned, so you got in CBS in 2002?
Yeah, Rob One put me down. DJ Rob One put me down right before he died. He actually died around 2000. So it was around that time, and then I was kicking it with the dudes from CBS around 91. And then it took me all those years, dude.
Want to tell a little bit about that journey in CBS?
Yeah, so I'll tell you a little bit about that. Well, Rob One I knew, and rest in peace. I grew up in Northridge. He's from Fairfax District. So I heard about this radio show, and I'll never forget because back then there's no Instagram. So some dude had a book of like photos, and I was looking. We were at a yard or somewhere, and I was looking at the photos in there, and someone did a graffiti piece, and it showed like speakers, like a hip hop thing with turntables, and it said 88.5 FM something Fly ID show, and I'm like. And I asked him, I'm like, what's this piece? Why'd you do a piece that shows like speakers like a hip hop thing? Oh, well, that's this radio show they have on Northridge, KCSN Northridge. They still have that. But, of course, there was nothing else back then. There was no Spotify or nothing. It's like, well, it's radio, like hip hop, like K-Day? They were like, yeah, but it's FM, dude. And that was when K-Day had died out because 1580 K-Day was like something that was mixed show. And then I realized they call it mixed show. It was the only radio that ever had it came from like a New York thing, like Red Alert, where they're actually DJing and scratching. And so I found out it was I think it was every Friday night or like Saturday night between like 2 hours. And I started listening to that shit. And then you could call in, and get shout outs, and all the UTI dudes and people would call up, and you'd hear like graffiti writer shout outs. And that's the first time I heard Cypress Hill, because Rob One knew people in the industry were getting records and shit. Like only people in New York had done this, dude. Even K-Day wasn't this hot. So all the new shit, and I would just pop the cassette in and, record. I still have boxes of that shit. And shout out to my boy Goner and King M. So they had this whole thing going on there, and it was really hot. Because it was on the radio, dude. And these dudes were like, now I'm getting into college, 91, 92, and I would go over there. I would rap because I was into rapping and shit. And all the graffiti dudes and people would meet up at Cal State Northridge. And they had a little radio studio, and it was sick, dude. So then, after I was in a rock band, Incubus, I did the Incubus thing, and then I came back because that shit didn't work out. After a few years, I was back in the hip hop scene, and Rob was like, dude, it's cool here. I'm gonna really show you how to DJ and shit. So we were DJing at clubs, and I was promoting little spots, and we would DJ and make money off the bar or whatever. And then so that's when I started asking him, hey, dude, I've been friends with all these dudes for 10, 11 years at that point. A lot of CBS dudes were close friends of mine, but they didn't really see my graffiti as being anything. They're like, oh, okay, you do some graffiti, cool, And I was like, no, dude, I want to be down with this. And they were like, Rob was like, and then finally, dude, it happened because, once Rob passed away, that's when I really met a lot more graffiti people. And I started getting deeper into it because then I really started hanging out down there on Melrose and shit. And I was like, damn, this is fucking, I'm part of the scene now and shit. And then they kind of needed another DJ. And then when I got put on to CBS, they're like, all right, come here, dude. You're DJing in this. And then, people had been seeing my graffiti around. And then I was official because Rob One was teaching me to DJ. And of course, a DJ was part of CBS, dude, because of Rob One. And that was important for the parties and different things. And then what happened was people in the crew, they were like, it was hardcore back then. It was way different than it is now. Atlas, Deese, and Acel, and these dudes were fucking hitting billboards and just, it was hardcore shit. So I'm at the meetings, dude, and I remember Atlas is right in front of me. He knew I was there, and he's like, what's up with this fucking DJ guy, dude? This ain't a fucking DJ crew. It's not CDS, City DJ Squad. This is CBS, City Bomb Squad. He ain't bombing. And I was going down to Belmont. That's when Belmont was still popping there. I was like, man, his piece ain't good enough, dude. What the fuck? Why'd you put this dude down? You know? And back then it was like you had to be on probation for a while. They're like, well, you can't really be putting up CBS next to your shit. You could come around and then I started bombing, dude. And I started fucking getting good at CBS letters. And then again, there's no Instagram or nothing back then. They had to see your shit. So Deese and Atlas and all these dudes were heavy hitters back then. It didn't matter who was running the crew if he wanted me in the crew or not. It was up to the members back then. And they would just fucking vote you out. You know, and I didn't want to get the boot. And they're like, you're on the chopping block, dude. You better fucking put in work. And then I'll come to the next meeting, like a couple months later, they're like, you know what I mean? They're like, all right, homie, we see you, dude. And I wasn't putting up no 1987. I was putting up CBS, and getting good at that, those letters with that like real New York style, you know, where the S is like fucking, you know what I mean? That funky ass shit. And then I started getting good, dude. And then my 1987 pieces still kind of sucked, but I was in the crew, and then other people were helping me with sketches. Like, here, dude, I'm going to give you the sketch. Now you put it on the wall. And then all of a sudden, same thing, dude. Like, people would be like, shit's fucking. And then they come back again. Hey, you could come paint on Melrose. And then they'd be like, well, you did that one? You know what I mean, dude? And to me, that's what it was back then. It was a bunch of people that were forcing you to get really good at graffiti. And it wasn't like, you don't get to just paint the wall. So I mean, like, if we don't see your shit on the freeway, if we don't see your shit somewhere, dog, like illegal, like where you really did dirt, you're not going to stay in the crew. It doesn't matter if you've been in the crew 2, 3, 4 years, dude. Like, they called it dead weight. There, and then people were getting the boot. Like, people that weren't really doing enough, the dudes, the members, not just one person, the members would come and be like, yeah, this dude's getting the boot, man. Like, he hasn't put in enough work, dude. We don't give a fuck who he's friends with or whatever. You know, you're not going to just buy your way in or fucking, oh, he brought weed to the fucking, you know what I mean? Oh, this dude showed up with an ounce of weed. He's cool. It wasn't like that back then. So that was how I got into the crew.
Were those the guys who like really schooled you on stuff, or was it back before that, like on like the policy? Because back then there was a lot more like schooling. Like when they talk about probation, you know, they're telling you like what you should do and shouldn't do and conduct yourself. Did you have like a someone that really did that for you in that crew, like mentor you?
Well, okay, later, yes, like later, when we really started, when it started going further and further, like into the later 2000s, now we're talking like 2009, like I had been in the crew for a while. People were doing productions, like murals, like there was a production we did on 2nd Street, like really downtown LA, and I started doing my outlines. And I mean, the level, like we were painting with people like Vile, NATO, like NATO designed this thing. I mean, they had to have scaffolds and shit. It was like a 2-story thing, dude. I have photos of it. And I started doing my outlines and shit. And that's already after being in the crew a long time, dude. And my graffiti was pretty good. And then it was like, you know, another dude who I'm not gonna say his name came by and just starts buffing my shit. Nah, this ain't dope. He's fucking whack. And then it was weird, dude, because NATO and Fever had a lot of fucking juice back then. And then I was like, all right, well, fuck it, dude. You know, and I was kind of getting hated on, dude. And by one of the dudes who wasn't invited to paint on it. And I was like, and then NATO and Fever like, nah, homie, you're under our wing, dude. Fuck all that, dude. Like, you're gonna step your game up. I'm all, well, what do you mean? And this production was like, it was supposed to be like buried treasure. It sounds kind of funny. It was fucking dope. I mean, we had a lot of WAI dudes down back then. At Plek, shout out Plek. I mean, this shit was, they were painting this shit for like over a month, dog. It was sick. I had never been part of anything like this. So Fever and NATO, they're like, look, we want you to fucking come back with a sketch, homie, like some fucking real shit, dude. They're all, you have to step your game up now, dude. And again, this is like 2009, you know, this is 2010, dude. I've already been in for a long time, and I'm like, this may be not my thing. They're like, no, dude, you're gonna do this shit. So I came back with some fucking heat, dude, and I'll never forget that I was doing like the, you know, that kind of like 3D where it's almost like 4D. Like where it's perspective and fucking, and then I was really hitting it hard. I'm like, dude, I know I'm an artist, dude. I paint canvases. I could do portraits and shit. I'm like, that's what you want? Fine. I'm not going to do like the New York shit. I'm going to do like the artist shit, you know? And I fucking did some shit and I'll never forget. People, it was the same thing, but much later. And people were like, who did that shit? All the WAI dudes and people were coming by. They're like, that's 87. They're all, oh, Plek did his shit. And people were saying Plek did my shit, and like no one could believe I did it. So what I'm trying to say to answer your question, like NATO and Fever, like much later on, pulled me onto that like advanced shit. And then by like 2010, 2011, I was doing all that shit. You know what it really looks like? Fucking all the color. You know what I mean? Like the shit that Lumit, you know, Lumit and those dudes like FC, the shit they started. Like where you just look at it, looks like computer graphics, and I started doing shit like that, and that's when I just was like, you know what, dude, who am I really doing this for? Like, I'll paint a fucking canvas all day, homie. Like, I've painted portraits and shit freehand, dude. Like, if I show you, you'd be like, what the fuck? And people start seeing my canvas and they're like, well, you could do this. I'm like, yeah, but that's not graffiti. You know what I mean? Like, graffiti to me is like caveman shit. Like a scribe, dude. Like, but this isn't what I want to do. Now that you know I could do it, and I don't want to do it, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, who am I really doing this for, dude? Like, is this what I have to do? Or can I just go back to doing what I enjoy? Like what you're seeing here. Like, this is what I like, dude. It's just letters. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be that perfect even. Like there's a couple little spots, you know what I mean, where it could be touched up. And it doesn't matter, dude. It's the kind of shit you see on the illegal shit. Like, just paint, like, just doing a bomb, dude. Like, that's graffiti. Like, yeah, maybe you had to run and you got chased, but people still saw your name. And that's when finally people were like, okay, dude. So it kind of continued back then in those days where you always had to step your game up. You know what I mean? And then as time went by, dude, I was pretty good, dude. And then, you know, when I had my kid and shit, I kind of kicked back a little, but I just kept, you know, I would always be around tagging or doing what I do.
When you first started, was there someone that, like, you know, gave you the rundown on, like, you know, the toy behavior, like what you shouldn't do, like, you know, like the street etiquette, you know?
Yeah, they pulled guns on me, dude. I just told you that one.
Yeah.
I mean, that was that. See, that's the thing. And fuck Unit. And I'll say it right now, he's a pussy. Fuck that fool, because that's what he was supposed to do. And years later, dude, we were hanging out with the TBG dudes, or I think it was like a text, and I don't know what happened, dude. He's a fucking piece of shit, dude. And he started talking shit because we were like, oh, I know what it was. We were like putting like little messages, and he put a picture of his piece. We would do like little graffiti battles, like in a group chat, and I was like, that shit looks like fucking Romper Room, homie. And like, his shit looked whack, dude. I'm like, that shit looks like something I did back in the day. It looked like a preschool, and I had a piece where it burned, and he got mad because we're in the group chat, and everyone's like, damn, dude, he burned your shit. And Unit always used to kind of talk down to me and shit. Like there was people that like put me on, but then they'd be like, you'll never be shit. You know what I mean? Like, they want to stay above me. And I start getting good, and they're like, that sucks. And then the rest of the people in the crew, damn, he burned you. And then so Unit brought up that whole story. Yeah, you're a pussy. You ran that night. And he started bringing up the shit from those dudes that pulled guns on us. And I'm like, and he's like, that was your beef, and I took heat for your beef. And I'm like, bullshit, homie. That was your beef, motherfucker. Like, they were mad at you. You were supposed to give me Klecha, homie. Like, you were supposed to fucking teach me this shit, and you let me write that fucking name. You know what I mean? So really, no, dude. I had to learn on my own. Like, I mean, it's all the shit I kind of told you. Like when I learned, it was on the fly. And no, because then once I got into CBS, you know, who's gonna say shit when you're from CBS? Like, you're not gonna really have problems, dude. But I don't know if it was exactly like people teaching me about the shit, because by that time I had already learned it the hard way, you know. Yeah. Like the politics of it.
Now I look at it like when there's just like one letter off, like how you said SKAM and then others SCAM. There's just so many fucking shits that, like, you know, crews that are like one letter off. It's like, I don't know, like, to me, I won't get mad at shit like that ever, because it's like, dude, like, everything's pretty much almost been taken. There's like, you know, like, there's fucking AD, there's like fucking, there's just so much shit. There's like one like K or CB, you know, like all this shit is like been taken, you know, a lot of shit, you know. It's like, as long as you're not really taking like an OG's name, like, you know, like that, maybe someone that's passed away or someone that you're not going to be able to surpass. It's like, it's crazy like that. Unit, though, I do give him credit for that 50 millimeter. He was the first one to put that 50 millimeter out there, and like that was like, I mean, that's kind of like, because, you know, you're talking about there was no internet, this or that.
Yeah.
Like, that was the first thing that, like, people,
yeah, of course,
like a fucking big platform.
And he was making money off of it.
And a lot of people in the graffiti scene don't even know who Unit was, you know, like, so like they don't never like heard of that.
Yeah, because he dropped out.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. That 50 millimeter shit was cool, but he was making money off it. You had to subscribe and shit. Yeah. And then he did a story about GK, and GK went to prison right after that. He subconscious. He was like Vlad. You know how Vlad interviews people, and then they go to prison, and that was the other thing, dude. He also wasn't using his brain. He did a whole thing about GK on there, and the fucking cops used it against him, and he literally went to prison for that. So that's also why I never. I kind of stopped respecting that dude, because I thought that was stupid.
What advice would you give to these young writers? Like, what would you, like, if you were to school people, like, you know, if some kid came to you and you saw that he had talent, you're gonna be like, all right, well, look, man, if you're gonna get into this shit, these are some things that you should know, you know, like about the game.
This shit ain't this ain't like skateboarding or playing football. I mean, you could get killed doing this shit. You know what I mean? Like people over the years, dude. Like one of my friends, her son started doing graffiti, and she wanted him to talk to me, and I'm like, okay, put him on the phone, dude. And because I remember when he was born. You know, now he's in high school. He's going here at Canoga. She's like, here, you know, my son's doing graffiti, and something happened. The cops. All right, put him on the phone. Yeah, hello? Oh, shit. Oh, dude, I remember you, dude. You know, you're my Theo, dude. And I'm all, yeah, you remember me when you're a baby and shit. Don't do graffiti. What do you mean? You're from CBS and you do graffiti. I'm all, exactly, dude. Stop it. You know what I mean? I'm all, what do you want me to tell you, dude? Like, do you see my kid here with me? Fuck no, I'm not going to bring my kid here. I'm not going to fucking let my kid see all this shit because then he's going to want to do it. My kid is calling me on the phone because I fucking left him at home. I mean, any young people that ask me to do this, I'm like, dude, it's like you're asking me to join a fucking gang, dude. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a hobby. It's not like, to me, something cool. I'm already in it. You know what I mean? And not only that, dude, but how do I fucking know what's going to happen to me tomorrow? I could catch a tag somewhere, and I realized, dude, there was a kid a few weeks ago. I don't know if you saw this on the news. He was somewhere over there in Sepas, dude. And, like, I'm familiar with that neighborhood because I hung out there a lot when I was younger. There's a lot of gangs over there, dude. Oh, it's kind of like Pacoima, dude. Those little neighborhoods are close together, dude. And he caught a tag, and the homeboys killed him. I think he was, like, 15 years old. They didn't give a fuck, dude. The gangs over there, dude, they don't play around, bro. I don't know if they even caught the guy that killed him, but no one was snitched, nothing, dude. And he's a young kid. His parents loved him. He was doing what we do. Like, he thought, oh, cool, this is artistic. Oh, let me catch a tag here. And he got smoked. This is very recent, dude. So there's nothing else for me to say to young people, but don't get into this shit. I mean, I already told you, I've almost died doing it, dude. I mean, it's more of an addiction, and I'm a fucking piece of shit, dude. I mean, I vandalize things, dude. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, dude. I don't get paid off graffiti. And over the years, there's been people that got into the crew, CBS, and they were trying to make money and shit. And I remember people I want to be like Axis. And they're fucking painting characters and shit. I'm like, fuck you, dude. They're not around no more. That's not what this is, dude. It's not, oh, let me get on the wall and paint some Disney characters, and then I'm going to become Sand Wonder. And there was people like getting in the crew like that where I'm like, what the fuck's going on, dude? You know what I mean? And then those people faded away because you knew they would. And all I can say is this shit is fucking. Graffiti. It's not really. I'm sitting here looking how beautiful how dope it is. It's not fucking breakdancing and shit. It's shit that gets you killed, dude. Yeah. And people getting. I just told you I was hiding under a fucking train track, dog. What if the train took off? I mean, what if we got shot that night? Like, I don't want my kid around none of this shit, dude. We were skateboarding. You know, he's learning that, which even that is a little bit, I'm like, fuck, he's going to be a skater. Okay, that's not that bad. You know what I mean? The skateboarders getting fights and shit. But the only thing I would say is just don't do it. That's always my advice, dude. I would never put someone under my wing and bring them around if they were young, unless, if they were in their 20s, maybe 30s, if they've already been doing it. So that's my whole thing, dude. And I may be one of the only graffiti dudes that will tell you that. And it's like saying, oh, teach me how to fucking smoke weed. Teach me how to do drugs. Yeah. Like, teach me how to gangbang or put me in a neighborhood, dude. Like, I would just be like, why the fuck do you want to do this?
But if they're already doing it.
Okay, if they're already
doing it, then I'd be like, you know what? If you're going to do it, just, like, here's some things that you really need to know.
Okay.
It's fucking real in the field.
Okay, if someone's been doing it 5-10 years... The only thing I would say is you better fucking learn how to fight. You better really fucking know how to fight, bro. Because I got jumped. I told you they punked us at gunpoint. I got jumped one time at Venice, which that's a long story. And luckily I knew how to fight because it was 3-on-1. And I had a concussion and a broken nose, but they could have killed me. That's the main thing. Like, none of it is what you think. Like, I would never be like, well, here's how you do your outlines and here's how you spray your paint. I'd be like, fuck you, learn that shit yourself, dog, like I did. I mean, unless it was a crew and they put a younger dude in the crew and he's my family member. But I've never really schooled younger riders, dude. I would just tell them, you better fucking learn how to fight and you better run fast, dude. Like, if cops come, like, you don't fucking wait. If a security guard comes, you don't argue. There was that dude that was fuck, what was his name, dude?
The silver, the spray painted the
yeah,
silver.
where he spray painted the silver guy's face.
Asher.
Yeah, Asher. Well, he was big on Instagram and shit, and he was like, he was becoming someone cool. Like, people thought he was someone like Triggs or whatever. Well, he wasn't. You know, security guard came and he argued with this, and then, dude, everyone made fun of him, and he closed his Instagram account. I mean, that dude's fucking lame as fuck. But no one told him, dude, like, if you see someone run, like, okay, that's another thing. If people are watching this and they want to know, like, don't get too fucking bold, homie. This shit's illegal, dog.
Don't get too comfortable.
Yeah, dude. Well, what the fuck, bro? I don't let no one see me catch a tag, dude. Like, you want to talk about shit like that? Like, I have shit where I'm not gonna tell you, dude. I have secret ways where I can fucking do graffiti where people don't see me. I'm not gonna go up and paint a spot and thinking shit is like cool, dude. Like, if anyone could see me at all, dude, I'm not gonna do it. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. It just means that I'm like a fucking double secret agent and shit. And I came up during a time where, you know, how about this? I'll tell another story. When we were younger, because I'm more just going to tell you how to not get killed and how to not get your ass beat and how to not get caught. I'm not going to tell someone how to do graffiti, dude. You know what I mean?
That's what
like,
a big homie's supposed to do. OG, you're not OG if you're not trying to keep the little homies out of the grave or out of jail.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay. So I'm gonna turn it into a little bit of a story. Especially for people not in LA. LA is so understaffed with the LAPD and shit that, like, there's no cops that really hunt and do investigations. You could still get in trouble for it, especially CHP. They're still arresting people if they see you. But realistically, sometimes cops will even drive past you if you're catching a little tag or something because they're understaffed. But when I was a kid, when I was writing Scammer in high school, and it is relating to your question, dude, because I almost got caught. They had an arrest list back then. They were really on it, dude, with the graffiti writers because it was brand new in Northridge, and there was this wall that everyone had tagged up right across the Devonshire police station. That was like now if you went to like Simi Valley and you see graffiti, right? So everyone that was tagging, like, the cops were starting to get pissed, dude, because they're like, what the fuck is this? Almost like the Porter Ranch area, you know? And they would catch a kid for like drinking in public or something, and they're like, here, we're gonna take you down to the station, and then they would show them pictures of graffiti. Who does this tag? And people were snitching. So I almost got snitched on, but instead one of my homeboys who was tagging a lot, he got caught. He was in junior high and I was in high school. He's a little younger than me. I was only like 16 at the time. They would pull him out of a class in lunch and drive him around the police car and make him take photos. See, now people take photos of their own shit. Back then, the cops were the only ones taking photos. Or if you had photos of your shit, you would hide that shit. You know what I mean? And then what happened was he started, instead of him snitching, because he wasn't a snitch, and shout out to my homeboy KK, he would never snitch. Instead, he was giving us intel. He's like, hey, bro, don't fucking do graffiti here. Don't do graffiti there. And then he was like, they have a list, homie, and you're on the list, you know? And then I was at school. I went to Granada, and I don't know why I was being an idiot, dude. And I fucking caught a little scammer tag, like in the gym, and the coach was right there, Coach Stroh. He fucking hated graffiti, and he was like a strict dude. And this old ass dude, and he goes, "Oh, you fucking come here, dude." And I was like, "Fuck, dude, why did I do?" Well, my name was on the list, and that was how they busted people back then. They had a list, and they were taking homicide detectives off of homicide and putting them onto graffiti because they were like, "We're gonna just handle this shit at once, like a dragnet." And then I'll never forget, dude, I looked up, dude, because the school cop was coming and they were going to fucking arrest me and shit. And I saw some of my boys, it was like, and I threw them a pencil. I fucking grabbed the pencil and I threw it. And somehow the coach didn't see it. And I'm like, fuck it. And they crossed my shit out. And then when the school cop came and they looked, they're all, what does it say? They're like, dude, I fucking lucked up, homie. You see what I'm saying, dude? So this is my way of answering it because they're like, well, what did it say? What did it say? I'm all, nothing, dude. And they're all, no, you need to tell us because there's an arrest list. And if your name's on that fucking list, you're going to jail. And I was like, I know, motherfucker. And I'm not telling you. And all right. I wrote skater. Like, because I wrote scammer. And this is before I knew Skate One. I mean, I was way out in Granada Hills. So I didn't know there was a dude that wrote skate or anything. I just told him, well, I'm a skateboarder. So I wrote skater. All right, dude, we're going to look on that fucking arrest list. And it was always me not getting caught. And to this day, dude, I was going through custody battles and shit. I'm an old ass man. What's it gonna look like? Oh, you got caught doing graffiti, dude. So my whole shit is don't get killed. Don't fucking don't get ran over by a train. Don't run across the freeway, get hit by a car, and don't let people see you. You know, I'm not going to tell you how to fucking do graffiti. Like, I'm not going to tell you how to fucking use this cap or this kind of paint, but don't be stupid, dude. Don't let people see you do it. I see young people just fucking going up and people see them like, the fuck's wrong with you, homie? Like, why would you let people... You're supposed to be like Spider-Man, dog. You know, you're supposed to be motherfucking Clark Kent, homie. Like, no one knows it's you. And I know it's different now, dude. I show my face. I show 1987. But same, dude. I know I'm public, dude. I'm showing my face right now, dude. And I also learned back then, like I said, my homie riding around the police car, don't do graffiti here. Don't do graffiti there. I'm not going to fucking climb up and do the biggest one, dude. I've never done that. I've always been like, well, I'm going to do it here. And then 2 months later, I'm going to do something there. And that's why I've been consistent all these years, but I've never been the biggest one. And we were talking about earlier, the homie Rose. I mean, that guy is so talented. Some of his shit still runs. Like some of the spots he caught, like over here in Canoga Park, they just left it. They liked it. He caught these rooftops and they're like, oh, cool, shit. Someone, like the business owners left it. He has these spots somewhere on the 2 freeway. I said, well, how the fuck did he climb up there? But realistically, from what I know, he ain't in the game no more. And a lot of people burn out, you know? So these are the things that I would say, like, don't burn out, dude. I have a way of doing my shit. I like to mob like trash dumpsters. Mm. You know what I'm saying? I like to fucking catch a little scribe, gas pumps. I'm fucking tagging a gas pump, homie. That's an oil company. You know what I mean? And they're not going to review the cameras and send me to jail for. I'll go into a restaurant and I have my little scriber. The way I carry just the tip of the scriber, and I have it in my wallet. I could bring that into the courthouse, you know. And like, and if I go into a restaurant, it's a family-owned restaurant. Why the fuck am I going to do that to them? I own a business. But if I go into McDonald's, you know what I mean? If I go into Burger King. And it's shit like that. You got to use your brain, dude. You're not going to go on the side of someone's fucking business and start tagging. You know, I'm running a fucking transportation company. One of our buses got hit, and then you know, some of the people that work with me, they're like gangsters. I'm gonna find out who did that shit. You know, and then they're like, the next day they're like, did you find out? And I'm like, you know what, dude? That's kind of like snitching, dude. We already fucking got rid of it, and plus it was someone I had never heard of. And I'm like, I can't really do that, dude. I could go beat his ass, but then I'm a hypocrite. So there's all these little things that you start getting into, dude. Like, and then I'm like, that guy's a fucking idiot. Like, he thought his shit was gonna run, hitting a fucking tour bus. That guy's dumb, and I'm not gonna find him, waste my time, and go beat his ass. Because then it's kind of like I'm a hypocrite, and I'm a snitch, and he didn't really know better. But I would never do that. You know, like we were talking about hitting a bus. I'll maybe hit a bus knowing it's gonna get buffed the next day, and there's cameras on it, and they could put a case against me. My shit is don't get killed and don't get caught. And if you have to figure that out for yourself, just like I did back in the 80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely, when you're talking about like, you know, people burning out, I definitely tell like, when you get these new crew members and they just go so hard. And I always tell them, I said, man, just remember, don't blow your wad. Like, pace yourself. It's a marathon. You know, like, don't go like so hard to the point where you burn yourself out or you get tired. You know what I mean? I definitely emphasize
it's
that
a marathon. Yeah, you don't want to sprint, dude.
Yeah, you know, it's like, just, you know, pace yourself. Like, 'cause they go so hard in the beginning and like they're so going home and then, you know, like either you get caught or something. I'm like, just pick your spots. Don't worry about it. You know, like, collectively as a crew, we're going to get up. You know, like, don't sit there and try to take it all on yourself. You know what I mean? Pace yourself.
Yeah, all that type of shit, dude. Yeah. You know, all that type of shit. If you go too hard, bro, you're an idiot. Also, know where you're at. Mm-hmm. If you're from a certain area and you're in LA, dude, and you go up to Ventura County, bro, you better fucking figure it out. And not trying to say that about anyone in particular, but or Orange County, Orange County, maybe I should have said. But you know, Santa Clarita, like you go out there, dude. The sheriffs have time to fucking put a case on you.
They'll fuck around, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Like it's like. It's like fucking secret society shit, you know, like how the fuck are these multimillionaires somehow they're getting away with fucking harming children and shit. Yeah. Those secret society motherfuckers, that's what we are. I always say this all the time. I don't give a fuck if you're Bill Gates, homie. You're driving on the freeway and you're seeing this. You're seeing this. You have no choice, whoever the fuck you are, bro. I don't give a fuck, you're the Kardashian or whatever it is, dude. You see my graffiti. You don't know who we are. You don't know that we all know each other and shit. We're a secret society, and I'm getting on a different subject, but that's the fucking essence of all this shit. And even my homies who are real gang members, and even like fucking really high ranking gang members and shit, they're oh, you're a tagger. I'm all fuck I am, homie. What do you mean? What do you know about it? What do you mean I'm a tagger, dude? Well, that's what they call them at prison. I'm not in prison, dude. I'm not a tagger, dude. I'm a graffiti writer, and then well, tell me about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm all, well, let me tell you something. First of all, we're not like gangs where we kill each other. Most every fucking graffiti crew is homies. Oh, really? You know, like, people don't know this, and that's why I say it's a secret society, dude. Like, I got a phone call yesterday. Shout out to my homeboy Drew OTR. How do people know I know him? How do I fucking know you? How do we all know? And we all build, homie. Like, if every fucking graffiti writer came together, we would be fucking an army, homie. That'd be like when you go to the joint and it's all Southsiders, dude, or all black people. You know what I mean? You'd be like, fuck, there's a lot of motherfuckers. If every graffiti writer came together to do something, can you imagine? Because we're mostly unified. If there's ever beef, it's usually one or two people, and they gather around. All right, you two people fight, and they go back. All right, homie, let's go back, and we're all fucking go back home. You know?
Do you feel like the culture is a little watered down these days and saturated? Because I see a lot of like older like street artists, not graffiti artists, trying to do that just like because they see like the cops aren't as tough on it, and they're trying to make money off of it. They're trying to like take in on that. You know what I mean?
Wait, but say again, dude. I don't understand the question.
Like you know, like a lot of like street artists are out there now.
Fuck that. Yeah.
They're starting to do like, you know, trying to cross over into like graffiti things,
like Banksy and shit.
Just trying to make money off of Banksy, yeah, stuff like that. You know, like, you know, other people like that are like getting into it a little older, and they're not really doing like straight graffiti. I mean, there's a couple of guys out in LA that are just, you know, doing certain characters or whatever, just like they're marketing themselves.
I get it. You're saying like the people that paint like a dog
or some shit, yeah.
I mean, I think that shit's cool, but it's in a different class. Like, oh, you know that guy that paints like that sideways? He uses paint rollers, and it's like a guy like sideways, and he's like has like a knife or something, like that type of shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's cute. You know what I mean? Like, hey, they do the same work we do. Like, they get up, but I don't. It's a different network, homie. It's just like, would you compare to fucking Mongols to like a gang, like a Southsider gang or Crips? Like, those dudes are bikers and these dudes are Crips. Like, I don't see that as graffiti. It's a form of graffiti, but I don't diss it. I respect it because of what they're doing, but I don't pay attention to it. You know, I mean, like I said, it's cute. Like, it's cool. Okay, you painted a dog. Or you painted a sideways guy like this. Or there's a guy now that goes and uses paint rollers. Have you seen it? It's like a face. He's pretty dope, but I don't really... To me, honestly, that's kind of like back to graffiti back in the 70s. Like Kilroy was here. Every single has like a nose, like the shit that started in World War II or whatever, Vietnam or something. They're like painting like a guy climbing over a fence. Like, all that shit is dope. It's like caveman shit, dude. Like, you're fucking painting something on a rock. But I don't recognize that, dude. I want to see like what I'm seeing now. Okay, that's fucking this. I'm seeing a BMW tag. Boom. I fucking know a couple BNWs. Shout out this dude. Like, oh, STP. Goddamn, I know all about that. Like I said, dude, and I've met bikers. I went and DJ'd for Hells Angels once, and I saw, oh, the Sundowners are here. Oh, I didn't know the Hells Angels and Sundowners are homies. Like, I don't know nothing about that shit, but I respect it. And those dudes are bikers. And to be honest, I remember they were trying to recruit me. Like, hey, dude, when you get in Harley? I'm all never. You know? and because that's not what I do, but I respect it. So I guess that's the answer. Like, I respect people that are out there painting fucking whatever they're painting, and especially if they go hard. But I know graffiti, and that's what I do. So I don't recognize all that shit. It's like static on the radio. I just tune it out, you know?
Yeah. And a lot of us, you know, like they know each other because they get, you know, they were in a crew together, or they're from this crew and that crew, you know, and it's like networking, you know, it makes you either stronger, but there's also a lot of drama that comes with being like in a crew and associated with the crew. Like, so now you're a oneer. What do you like it better being like without having to deal with the politics and the bullshit of being in a crew and all that?
Well, without talking shit about CBS, I will say this, dude. When I joined CBS, it was a lot different than it is now. Like, I told you, dude, you know, Dees, Essel, Atlas, it wasn't one person dictating. It was people voting, and it ain't like that no more. And that's one of the reasons I'm no longer part of it. It started from people that were very supportive to where people were just fucking didn't give a fuck. Like once I was no longer CBS, I was like, well, let me go do a couple pieces and not put CBS next to it and see what happens. And no one was like, hey, dude, what's up, dude? Is everything cool? Like what it used to be, like a family, dude. And I know CBS members, homie. Shout out to my boy Eris, Posh, who he's not in the crew no more. But people that you would never believe how tight our friendship goes, they're always going to see me at CBS because it's a family. Like, that's how it started off, dude. Where people that I knew them the whole 11 years before I even got into the crew, they don't care if I'm in the crew or not. There's a bunch of people like that I pick up the phone right now and we still feel that we're CBS, but I just didn't feel that it was right that the guidelines that I knew were no longer being followed. For example, there's people in CBS that got put down walking around with a CBS t-shirt that don't do graffiti. Like at all, dude. Like at all, dude. But there was some asset that they were able to offer, and I'm like, so hang on a minute. So you mean to tell me I was getting up on the freeway? I didn't put 1987 the last 22 years. I was putting CBS placas, dude, and I was risking my life. I was getting hurt, climbing by myself, dog. And you're walking around wearing the shirt? Well, for what? Oh, well, he offered something, and I'm like, I can't do this, dude, because that means I'm getting fame. So a guy could go and wear a fucking t-shirt, whether I don't know what they're doing, they're bartender or something. I don't know, dude. And I'm like, all right, dude, this dude ain't even doing graffiti, but he's getting fame. He's wearing a CBS fucking t-shirt, walking around, and like all those things, dude. And the fact that people saw that I wasn't putting up CBS no more, and no one cared, and I'm like, kind of like the night I was telling you when I went under the train, I was just like. And then, you know, all of a sudden it's, oh, well, he's not really CBS no more. And they don't give a fuck. Like, no one called me up and said, whoa, 87, dude, you're important, bro. And no, I didn't get that. So it's not really the same thing anymore. And then the other thing is I started talking to people from other crews and shit. And I was like, well, what about this crew? And then I started thinking, because I have a lot of friends in graffiti, dude. And I was talking to one of my homies, which I'm not going to drop his name, dude. But he's from like every fucking crew and he's a legend. And I was like, it was like, you know, it's not like, well, what t-shirt should I get? You know, should I get Stussy? Should I get Levi? You know, and I'm like, you know what, dude, I'll never be from another crew, homie. Like, CBS to me was the fucking pinnacle. Why am I going to try to redo that? Being a oneer, here's what it means, dude. No one's like, oh, I didn't like that shit. Why'd you do the graffiti over there? Because towards the end of my membership in CBS, I was getting more of that than, oh, damn, homie, we saw you up. Because that was what I used to get. All of a sudden, that tag didn't look so great, fool. I'm all, you don't even fucking do graffiti. Why are you banging my line, homie? Tell me, oh, why are you just doing graffiti out in the valley? I'm all, you know what, homie? You don't even know how to get out here, dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'm all, you don't even know how to fucking drive to where I did this shit. You don't know what's going on out here. Are you doing graffiti? Well, I don't have to. And I was getting that, dude, which I'm not going to start dropping names of people that are saying shit like, this shit is ridiculous to me. I'm like, well, what is this now, a business? And I don't want anyone to think I'm talking shit about CBS, but it's my experience that I'm talking about. Like, I didn't like that shit because of all the work I put in, because of what I just told you, dude, where if for me, it was do or die, dude. You don't climb up there on the freeway and do something that looks like these STP letters or whatever we're seeing here, you're out of the crew. That was what I knew. Now, I'm seeing all this shit. Like, fucking wearing the t-shirt? I'm like, dude, you gotta be kidding me, bro. Why the fuck is this guy? Oh, I get it. He was wearing a t-shirt, dude. Yeah. I mean, so now I can fucking do whatever graffiti I want. I don't have to fucking go, how can I? Oh, you guys are doing something. Can I paint? And like, that's what started. All of a sudden, I was starting to be excluded. Oh, these dudes all went and painted on Melrose and didn't hit me up. But I fucking put this dude on or whatever. Like, there was people that I was literally putting on or introducing them, and all of a sudden they're all painting without me. Or like newer members that they were like, oh, 87, yeah, dude, I'm in CBS now. I'm like, cool, dude. And their graffiti's dope and everything. And then I see they all went and painted and didn't call me. And it's a family. That's like my whole family goes to dinner and they don't call me. What am I gonna do? Please, dude, I want to fucking or just be like, you know what, fuck them, homie. Like, I'm just gonna go do my own shit and make my own dinner. And now I'm kicking it with you. And now I'm more like a bird that's free, dude. I'm not constricted no more to where I do something and they call me on the phone. That shit looked whack. You know what I mean? Or, oh, why the fuck did you do this? You know, and again, I'm not dissing nobody, dude. But that's the other thing that you're asking me earlier. Like, so you're part of something. What happens when you're part of something or I'm sorry, like putting people on, telling them about graffiti crews. When you're part of a graffiti crew, it's not really like part of being a gang where you can't walk away or you have to go kill someone and put in work that way. But it's kind of part of like being like a club, you know, like a team. Why did LeBron switch teams? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, he was in Cleveland, dog, and they all got mad that he left and then he got a ring with the Lakers or whatever, you know, like I'm a free agent, and also I finally found out, dude, I'll never be from no other crew, dude. And when I start talking to people, what about this crew? What about that? I don't know, 87, maybe you'll fit in over here. I'm like, for what? So I could then have to go in and then go to the meeting. Hey, dude, why the fuck you wearing that? We don't wear those type of shoes or whatever, you know, like we don't carry ourselves that way, which is righteous. If I go try to hang out with these dudes and all of a sudden I'm 54 years old, I've been doing this shit, I can't even count how long, and then it's gonna be, yeah, dude, we don't really approve of that over here. Like, and that's what you sign up for. And again, my advice to younger people: you join a crew, and especially like a known crew with like a lot of people, and you're subjecting yourself to criticism. It's hey dude, you better do this the way we do this. If that's what you're looking for, like when I first joined CBS, then it's dope. Because you need that shit, but once you get to my point, like if I start hanging out with some other dudes, all right man, you're on probation again, and I'm like, bro, fuck you, dude. Like, yeah, you know what, homie, your shit had some drips, dude. We need to talk. And it's like, I run my own business now. You know what I mean? Like, I don't work for nobody. And then I'm like, dude, I'm 1987 Wonder. What do I want to do today? You know what I mean? I'm like a bird flying. I'm going to land on that tree. Fuck, the whole flock is over there. No, they're flying south of the winter. You know what? I feel like going north. You know what I mean? And I'm just going to fly around by myself. And it could be anything. I'm relating to fucking Crips, Bloods, Mongol, Hell's Angel. You're part of something, dude. Like, you have to fucking do what they tell you and what they're doing, which sometimes that's dope. Like I said, when I first got in, like I probably would have been no one without CBS. I probably would have never been like with this shirt and it's 1987 CBS. Like, that shit went together like fucking peanut butter and jelly, dude. It was so perfect. You know what I mean, dude? Like, it just sounded good, and it was like these letters or these numbers, and so people are always going to kind of see me as 1987 CBS, and I'm not going to suddenly be 1987. Such and such. I don't even want to say, dude, because you could imagine, you could add whatever, like it'd be like, so now he's 1987 MSK or 1987 STP. It'd be like, hang on, dude, is he fucking Toyota or is he Lexus? You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just one thing, dude. Especially, I'm old as fuck. I'm gonna do this shit till the day I die, and I was one crew only. It's like, I got married, I got divorced, I'm not getting remarried. So I don't know. I went off on a tangent, but
we did say some good things. Like with the youngsters, I do say, yeah, like you said, like with the crew, there is that positive where like they do push you to get better because you're trying to, like, they motivate you to do that. But also, like, on the bad side is like you got to deal with some bullshit that somebody else did that you had nothing to do with sometimes.
That's another one.
That's the fucking bad shit. Like, you got some guy over here that's fucking doing some shit that fucking out of the pocket, and it makes, then you end up getting caught slipping for some shit that you have no clue that even happened, a lot of time, and it's like, that's a downfall of crew, and
I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
Beef. Like, I remember there was this dude, Rygar. Did you ever hear him?
Yeah.
He wasn't really a graffiti bomber, but he was in the crew. He was like Mir. He was really good at all these beautiful characters. Mir put in work. I mean, Mir's a real deal, but he was kind of cool. He's very eccentric. He would wear these like outfits and shit, and like, all right, dude, that's cool. It's a Hollywood crew. But some dudes from CTF. You ever remember CTF? There was only a few of them. Rawlos. They were like a small crew. They were freeway bombers, dude. And something happened where one of them hit up in like a Melrose Alley, and they went a little into his shit or something. So he crossed out their shit and put CBS. And it was like, why didn't you put Rygar? Why the fuck did you? And then, dude, those fools have straps and shit. Like, they're rough and rugged, dude. And there was like 3 or 4 of them, and they were coming around like, we could tell they were strapped, dude. They would walk into the alleyway and be like, hey, homie, like, what's poppin'? And we're like, fuck, I think this dude's strapped. Like, we didn't even want to just take off on him, dude. And we were trying to, and then it was like, and then people were calling me on the phone. This is when I first got into the crew a long time ago. They're like, hey, homie, I don't know if you're out there DJing or what, but these fools have beef. So if your name's on the flyer, they might come to your fucking DJ shit and want to smoke your ass. I'm like, why, dude? Well, Rygar started some shit, and now we have a war. Or not a war, but we have beef, dude. And mostly the dudes from CBS aren't really banging, like bringing out straps and shit. Because we could scrap and fight fools. We're like, fuck, these were almost like tag bangers. And none of us had any disrespect for them. Most of us were like, oh, those dudes are cool. And they were like, well, we fucking have a problem, homie, and we don't care, dude. We're going to fucking settle this shit because piece of shit. And then Rygar got the boot. And then we squashed it. It's street shit. You know what I mean? Like it's politics, dude. We're like, hey, look, dude, you're fucking Iran, and we accidentally bombed Qatar. We're not going to bomb you no more. We're going to keep bombing Israel. So Qatar and Iran don't have beef. Like, shit we see, dude, And yes, dude, your beef is my beef when you're in a crew. Like, right now, homie, I'm a wonder, dude. I know what I do. If someone has beef with 1987, dude, I'm sure there's a good reason, and we're going to go knuckle up over here. On the flip side, I don't have backup. But I have backup from other people that I knew younger that are fucking gangsters that I have backup. You know, but I'm smarter than that. I decide what I do. I'm 1987 oner. It used to be like, well, you're just a oner, dude. You're not really from a crew. And I went through that phase, and I told you I got put on to TBG, and I was from a couple other crews when I was much younger. And then when I was on CBS, I'm like, dude, I'm CBS, dude. And then it just evolved. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I'm always going to say that CBS is the best crew. I would never want to be from another crew. I'm seeing the letters right there that has that. Fuck, I love that shit. It's so dope. It's CBS, you know, and I'll never diss it. And out of respect to CBS also, I'll never be a crew hopper. I'll never be from any other crew, but I disagree with some of the things that were going on in the crew. So I walked away peacefully. I'm still cool with 99.9% of the crew, but it just was no longer the right thing for me. And I really kind of love being 1987 oner, which I never thought I would be. And it's just me, dude. And the other thing is, like, check this out. What if I do get down with another crew, and then all of a sudden I want to go off and do something else, and they're like, hey homie, we saw you over here doing this. You know what I mean? Like, you're representing a whole thing. Yeah. You know, some crews are more gangsters, some crews are more eccentric and artistic. I don't want someone to be, hey, we saw you driving down the street the other day, Holmes. You're like, why the fuck were you dressed like that? Or like, you know what? I'm kind of repeating myself.
I had this guy in my crew, and what bothers me is, like, some people, they'll like use it when it's to their benefit, but then it's not. Like, this kid fucking got on the crew, I'm seeing him up, he's not hitting up the crew or nothing, right? And then all of a sudden now there's a problem, like where he got capped by another crew, and he just had his name there, right? And he had this spot, I guess, before he got in the crew. Then he capped him back, they went and capped him back, and then he comes to me. And I seen all of this, and not once was the crew's name ever on there. And then he's like, yeah, I want to, like, on the fifth, 3 or 4 times after capping each other, he's like, yeah, I want to just go put the crew up there. I'm like, well, so now you want to get all of us involved in your personal shit when you were doing this before you were even in the crew, and then every time you were doing it, you weren't even hitting up the crew, and now you just want to put the crew. I'm like, nah, dude, it don't work like that. I mean, it's not like when you fucking, oh, for your benefit, you get to just do that, you know, and like bring us all in your drama, because that's one thing that it's like, people like love to pick and choose their situations like that, and it's like that to me is always like, that's out.
Well, yeah, and that's the same thing. Like, you guys have a solid crew now. You guys are building a lot of respect, and I started seeing you guys up. I didn't know who you were, and I'm like, all right, these dudes are fucking out there, and it's your choice, dude, because it's also powerful, dude. Like, once you start your own crew, you're running the crew. There's definitely a lot of good things to it, but it could get confused. Like, what if you're one of your homeboy hits up over here in Canoga Park or Reseda, and then all of a sudden they find you, dude, and they're like, hey, we don't want that shit in our hood.
Oh, I got hit up. I like this hood fucking straight up hit me up on the DM on the thing. There's like, look, man, you know, you're up a lot right here. We don't want you hitting up in the hood no more. I'm
really?
Like, yeah, it was a straight hood, and it was like, and I was like, all right, all respect, no problem. But I'm like, I don't really know exactly what your board. He gave me exact streets from. Don't hit up.
That's dope, though.
Yeah, he's like, don't sit up from here to here to here to here, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm putting it right away. I put it in the group chat. Fucking that shit's out. Don't hit up in these. You got to be careful in a lot of hoods.
And if one of your homeboys does, they could come and fucking shoot up your house. You got kids, dude. This is exactly what I'm talking about, bro. Yeah. Like, it's not fucking, you know, you're not going on Disneyland on a roller coaster, homie. Yeah. Like, you're going hunting. Like, you're fucking going fishing where the boat could capsize. Like, there's dangers involved. There's no security guards and shit. There's no fucking seatbelts, dude. There's no rails. You get into this shit. You getting over your head. And like I said, dude, that's why I didn't bring my kid here today. You know, my kid's sitting at home. He just called me on the phone. I mean, I don't want him anywhere near this shit, dude. Yeah. And hopefully he doesn't get involved. I hid it from him as long as I could. And he still hears it, and I'm like, fuck, dude. He knows I do it, but if I see him catch one tag, I'm just gonna be like, fuck, dude. And I don't think he will, you know. But it's a dangerous game, dude, and it ain't a game. It's fucking.
You know, it's real in the field.
Yeah, sure. Because it's confusing. Because you see all these bright things, and it's so colorful, and it's cool, dude. Like, people use this shit for t-shirt designs. Like, you know, you see, oh, cool, dude, you know, hip hop, and it's like, no, it ain't hip hop, dude. It's graffiti. Like, it doesn't mean I might be fucking listening to country or heavy metal, or if I want to kill someone, dude, but I'm doing graffiti. Oh, we saw your name. It was like I said, those dudes going back to in the 90s, and those dudes pulled straps. I would always see the shit. Fuck that. I wonder what these guys are. They're probably the coolest guys, and then they wanted to kill me, dude. You know what I mean? They're like, fuck you, homie. I'm like, this dude, I felt like I was meeting Kobe Bryant or something. They're like, no, dude, we've been looking for you. We're about to blast you right now. I'm like, fuck, and I was gonna quit. Dude. And you know, there's been a bunch of times when I was like, fuck, do I really need to do this? And, you know, I had a kid, and I'm like, well, still doing it, dude, through my custody battles and everything, dude. I kept going, and now I just do it the way I do it. And if I ever really do have some real beef, which I probably won't, I luckily have a big homie who's fucking not graffiti, who's, if I, you know, either he would help me one way or another, dude, you know, like, but I don't worry about shit like that, you know, or just, I could throw hands, dude. Like, people can't throw hands, dude, and you're doing graffiti and you're getting into this and you've never been in a fight and you can't throw hands. Like, all right, dude, you're on your own. You know what I mean? It's like riding a motorcycle. You don't have a helmet. Like,
that was like when the only time I really took a big break from this was like I had a major back surgery. In the 2 years before I had this surgery, it built up to the point where like I couldn't fucking run. Like, it's like you can't really do graffiti if you can't run from a cop. Or you can't run from a gangster because you're like dead. So it's like 2012, like, fuck, dude, I injured myself bad. 2013, I was like miserable. 2014, I had the surgery. 2015, I was recovering from the surgery. Those years, if you can't climb a fucking fence or you can't run from a cop or a gangster or a dog or some shit, it's really advisable not to do it. You know?
Oh, no, I agree, dude. And I've been hurt doing it, where I have to go back to work and everyone's like, what happened? I was playing basketball. You know what I mean, dude?
My boy Rufo and me were just doing it. He just fell like 10 feet and he got fucked up. Like, I'm feeling bad. Like, next day, he's got a fucking trade. He's a plumber. He can't even, it hurts him to squat down and do his job, you know? And I'm like, fuck, I felt so bad, you know? He didn't even fucking want you. Like, I called him. He's in bed with his girl and he comes out to help me do some shit and he gets almost fucking hurt, like, injures himself pretty bad, you know? I'm like, fuck.
It's part of the game, dude.
Yep.
And that's what I'm saying, back to what I was saying before, with people walking around with a t-shirt of the graffiti crew, and I'm the one that was up there putting up placas. Fuck you, dude. You know what I mean? I don't agree with that shit. I don't know why the fuck they're wearing those t-shirts, dude, but I'm not in charge. That's how
I feel about a lot of fools that are getting in crews that have already like earned their way. You know, it's like when those people that built that crew and put in most of the blood and the sweat for that, and then it's like they're not even in that crew no more, and these guys are just like jumping in at the end of the boat. Like there's crews that are like didn't do shit for like years, and now they're trying to bring them back. They're like, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna go. And these guys are like, oh, like gun ho about this crew, and it's like you don't even know the history. I knew like 3 fools from that crew that were fucking. It did so much for that crew, you know, and then it's like. I don't know. It's just the whole crew situation. It's like I would recommend if someone asked me like when they're young, I would be a oneer. I would stay a oneer. I would say fucking, you know, you're gonna have less drama. Try to meet as little people as you can. So you just do your thing. Do what you want to do for it. But no matter what, you're always gonna get hate. You're always gonna get drama. Somehow it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think my situation's unique because I got put on by CBS for all those years I was in. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like that was like I was signed to the major record label and then I went independent. Like without CBS, I probably really wouldn't be shit either. Like CBS definitely helped push me to where now I could be a oneer. If I would have just been a oneer all this time, I'd be like, man, we've seen him up, and I would have never got as good as I did. You know, I never would have been respected the way I was. So CBS really pushed me, and also I pushed the crew. Towards the end, for me, I felt like I was pushing the crew more than anyone was respecting me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I started feeling like I wasn't appreciated, and that's okay, dude. It happens. It happened to me in my own family, my mom and my dad. You know, to me, it was more of a family. It was people that I had fucking just known, and like I could call up, shout out to my boy Exists. If I call him on the phone right now, I don't even think he knows whether if I'm in CBS or not. He's like a brother to me, dude. Yeah. You know, shout out, like I said, my homeboy Eris. That dude hasn't been to a CBS meeting for fucking 15 years. And a lot of people don't know who he is. But he's someone that's from CBS in the 80s. If I call him on the phone, it's, oh, what's up, dude? You know, he doesn't even really call me 87. That's how long I've known him. What's up, Gavin? You know, and you know, so there's this, everyone has their unique thing. If I was a oneer this whole time, I would not be where I'm at in terms of respect or how good I got. At the same time, since I was part of that for so long, and I pushed CBS pushed me, and now it's like, okay, cool, dude. Yeah. I'm still kind of even considered by some people don't really know I'm not CBS, which is fine, because like I said, CBS means the dopest crew, but I enjoy not having that pressure, dude. Like, it's like, okay, fucking Shaq could go shoot hoops at the park. He's not Lakers no more. You know what I mean? Like, if he missed the shot, it don't matter. You know, shit like that.
Okay. So on like a final little thing, so I always, you know, like you mentioned CBS, Rob One put you on, rest in peace. So here, whenever I talk to people about stuff, I always like to say, you know, like, are there any writers that had passed away? I try to keep their names and their memories out there, just, you know, online, you know, like that. So Rob One is a great example of that. You mentioned Skate a little bit, rest in peace. Is there any other writers that you want to talk about or mention their names and give a little RIP shout out to?
Well, Skate is just like, he's a legend, bro. He's like fucking Elvis. You know what I mean, dude? Like he you know, like Elvis died before I was born, or whatever it is. Like Skate, same thing. I met him once, dude. You know, I just saw the guy, like, fuck, that's him. You know, and so I can't. He's so high up there, dude. It's like he's up in the clouds, dude. Like I don't really, I can't say because he didn't school me or nothing. Rob One. I did shit, like pattern my shit after Rob One. I still, to this day, I have a record label. I sell my own vinyl and shit. Rob One showed me how to do that. There's not a lot of people that press up their own vinyl that, you know, and people want my shit that I sell it, you know, to this day. And even the label that I put, it was just like graffiti letters. No one had ever done that before Rob One. And I mimicked him and he gave me props. Fuck, you pressed your vinyl? Yes. He was a DJ. I even got, at one point, I was working with the record labels. Like, so that guy, he was on another level, dude, because he wasn't just graffiti. He was also like a full all-around dude that like did so much. And I've tried to be that way. So and I even kind of looked like him. It's weird, dude. Like when Rob died, we had these flyers for his like memorial, and people were looking at the flyers when I was handing it to them. They're like, oh, like, or they didn't know who he was. And I was handing it to them. They're like, oh, is that you? And I was like, fuck, dude, we kind of, it's almost like we're brothers or something, dude. Like, so I can only say that, and that dude completely changed my life. And when he died, there was weird things, like, I can't explain, like spiritual things. Like he was sending me messages, which I'm not even going to start on that. It's a long story. So I still feel connected to him, dude. I still feel like sometimes he comes to me, dude, which is me and him have a special connection, dude. And I was there and I saw him laying right when he died in the hospital, and it was one of the first people that I ever had to deal with. I buried him. I carried his fucking casket, dude. It was, and it fucked me up, dude. Like I still have a lot of trauma from that, dude, because I needed him. You know, I needed him because I was getting into DJing, and he was schooling me, and then he died, and that's when Duke from Psycho Realm got shot. Like, because I'm not just graffiti, I'm hip hop. So he was very important to me, and when he died, I mean, it's still a loss for me. It still hurts me, dude. Like if he was still around, dude, I don't even know how much better my life would have been. You know what I mean? And so I can only just talk about him, and also like he died. The internet was just coming out. Like most people didn't even have a computer back then. And you look at a hashtag Rob One and it's all over. Like how the fuck did he pull that off? So that means even after he died, dude, to decades after he died, he's still dropping gems. He never really died. Like his legacy to this day, just put a hashtag Rob One. I mean, hashtag, he wouldn't even know what the fuck that was, dude. We were just, I don't even think he had the internet when he died, you know? Like, so he's prolific, dude. And I mean, I can encourage people only to try to find out, if you ever can get like Fly ID show, like I have a shoebox full of tapes. Like if you heard that radio show and shit, it was like, he had the Beastie Boys come out to Northridge. The fucking Beastie Boys came on to his show. You know what I mean? Like, how the fuck did he pull that off? They weren't even making money off that radio show. He had people that, like I said, he was the first person to ever play Cypress Hill. I remember hearing, I'm like, what is this, dude? It was kind of weird to me. The guitar, I could kill him, man. Like, people were listening on the radio, like, what the fuck are you playing, Rob? Like, that's how, like, foundational that dude was. He was like BC before Christ, like, you know, and so I can only praise him. And I've lost a lot of friends, unfortunately, but most of them were like hip hop dudes that weren't really graffiti. So I don't know who else I would even mention, and which is a good thing. So yeah, that's it, dude. Rob One, man. I love that dude forever. I still think of him all the time. And that's it, dude. He's the dude. And for people that don't know about him, if you're watching this, just like I said, do the hashtag Rob One.
Legends never die, man. That's why it's like,
yep.
You know, but I really appreciate you coming here. Let's fucking do this again sometime. Like, we'll think about what we didn't talk about that we thought we were going to talk about. You know, we'll go over it again, like, you know, a little bit. You know? I really appreciate you being here and everything that you're doing, man. Keep
Thanks, and we should go paint, dude. We'll hit some walls and shit, because that's the other thing about me not being from CBS now. I could go paint with whoever, dude. So now that I'm friends with you and I haven't painted with other people in a while, maybe we go hit some walls and shit. And
I'm down.
Yeah, dude. And congrats on your YouTube channel. Hopefully this shit blows up. Yeah. I hope you do really good with it, because there's money in YouTube. And I give you props because I'm a little bit of a YouTuber. I'm more Instagram now. And And I think this is the hottest fucking YouTube channel out there. And definitely, if you're from LA and you want to know about graffiti, this is it, dude. You're setting it off right now, and you're becoming your own Rob One. Rob One would have loved this shit, dude. I mean, he really would have, dude. So we're all kind of living through that spirit of Rob One right now. You know, he's with us, and I could feel his presence. So shout out to you for doing this is like the Rob One type of shit that he would do, his radio show. He would have freaked out if he knew about YouTube. Yeah. He was literally FM radio, dude. So yeah, man, shout out to you and with this channel. And that's it, man. 1987 or Mr. 1987. Catch me on Instagram, Mr. 1987. I hope you guys like hearing my stories, dude. And I hope you guys appreciate what I do. It's all love, it's all positivity. And if I see you guys out there, just shout out, say what's up. If not, if there's a problem, homie, knuckle up, buckle up, whatever. Well, I don't think that will happen, but hey, dude, it's street shit, but we're also showing my face and we're on here. So God bless everyone. Peace out.